Okay, so we are at the top of the pop-up Think on Purpose Action Hour. And something that I know to be true about my business partner and bestie is that she loves to do everything with intention and purpose. And she's a designer. She creates with intention and purpose. And every single month, she creates the covers of our On Purpose with Purpose journals, and there's intention behind everything that you see. And she's going to share a sneak peek and share with Nicole about the cover that represents her. So Susie, would you want to explain what we're
Yeah.
looking at
Yes.
and the thought process behind it, behind the thought process?
Yes, I would love to. So the thought process behind this is there are 14 separate things on here. And what they are to represent is the 14 years, Nicole, before your life-altering event, and the 14 years after this blooming succulent, like it looks almost like a rose, but it's really a succulent. That is like you deciding, like taking the trip to Mexico and deciding that this is the time where your life is changed, where your life is different, where your life is like truly living. So this is prickly. So it's the prickliest at the bottom, and then it gets smoother and smoother, and then it goes over into a succulent. So it's all about life and living on purpose.
I love that so much, and your creative mind, because that is so, oh, my heart, like, yes, 100%, yeah.
It was so I knew that I wanted that to be shown, but I didn't know how. I didn't know if I was going to do 14 over here and then 14 over here. But I just decided that since it was the exact same number of years, that you were 14 when your life changed.
Yeah.
And then now 14 years later, and you're choosing to live on purpose. And
that is so,
What I love about that is that what you're saying is like she's choosing, the next life-changing part, right? Like the next opportunity for life change. And all I could think in my head when you're talking about the flower is like blooming, like blossoming, like growing into the next version, or that was the blossoming, the blooming was what was coming to mind. And I love that you say prickly, because that was honestly like that was something that my childhood best friend, like we joked about me being like a cactus, and she's like, you're kind of prickly, like if people don't know you, like you're kind of prickly, but when you open up a cactus, it's mushy gushy and really gooey inside. And she's like, that's you. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of prickly on the outside. So I like to be described as, but I loved this. This is so like such a beautiful, like we haven't used a cactus in anything. It's been succulents, but the cactus, I was like, oh, the
cactus, it is a succulent. So like putting in the search for succulents, I'm like, okay, these were some prickly times, and to be able to acknowledge that, and no matter where we are, to know that we can choose to blossom, we can choose to make the most out of it, and we can choose to step forward into that. And so that's why the succulent is on the other side. So that is,
I love it. And I also pointed out, or I love that you pointed out that it was 14 years that it happened, and then now it's 14. Like I have not put two and two together, and like I just feel like that's so magical and on purpose, like for real.
Totally. And like, what are the next 14 years gonna hold? Like that taking, like, getting to this point and then getting to the next points and the next points and the next point, like it just, there's so much hope in this cover.
Thank you for this, like legit, because I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I put myself through so much stress and like I try not to worry, right, about what comes next or the
Yeah.
how or whatever, right? And like I'm constantly reminding myself, like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
And so, like, this has just kind of
Yeah.
been a solid reminder of what the last 14 years have, like, how far I have come and the
Yeah.
transformation that has come throughout the 14 years. So thank you for this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for allowing us to bring this out in you. Like, this is
Totally. And I don't think we said this in the beginning, but that means, what this means is that October is our focus and our theme, and Nicole is our highlight to help us draw out how we all are intentionally living throughout the whole month of October. So get your fall pants on and get ready to draw out like how we're living our lives on purpose, and what that looks like for each one of us. So thank you for sharing that, Suze, your heart behind the deeper thought process in designing. And it's not just putting something together, it is thought through, it is heartfelt, and it is intentional and on purpose. So love it. Okay, we're a little bit over, but that's cool. It was meant to happen. So we're gonna go do our intentions and we'll see you back at 10:02. So we're back at the bottom of the pop-up Think on Purpose hour. And let's get some fresh thoughts here. So Nicole, you were just sharing about like a thought mode and how we tend to spiral. Like when we think too much, sometimes it's like detrimental to our ability to like take action and just make better choices, right? If we're in our head too much, or we're super stressed out and overthinking, right? How many of us will turn to unhealthy food or unhealthy coping mechanisms of whatever it is, because we're in that spiral mode and we're too much in the thought mode, and it's more of like the negative what ifs instead of the positives. Well, how about this? So that was just something that we were talking about. And I wanted to ask the question, like in the thought process of, because this is the last day of build, okay, so in building a healthy headspace for yourself, like what is maybe the one tool that you would say has been a game changer for moving your headspace to be healthy when you recognize, right? Because we can all agree that awareness is like, you need awareness, but when you become aware, what is like the one thing that you do that has been like game changer for like that thought mode?
I think for me, a tool that anyone can use and pretty much everyone knows about is intention. And so refocusing on your intention, whatever that is. And for me, it's always to trust myself. So in that moment, forgetting all of the negative self-talk or the self-doubting beliefs or whatever, and trust myself and do it, or trust myself and not do it. Whatever my intuition is telling me, to trust that and act on that. But the tool that I was thinking of when you were talking was what you're describing is your will of fear. And so the tool that you would need is your will of freedom, but not everybody has those, right? So intention would be the one that most people will understand.
Love that. I heard trust, and I love talking about fear and freedom. So that's awesome. Nicole, how about you? What was coming to mind when I was sharing that?
So if I have the time and space, like my first go-to is definitely meditation, like to just like ground and get back into that like level-headed space. And then if that's not available, then getting into like elevated emotions, right? So thinking about my end result or end goal, or like where I see myself down the road, right? And then bringing up those emotions that thought creates. So for me, right now, like especially in my healing and recovery, when I get like into thinking mode and the how mode and like just spiral into those thoughts, then it's, for me, it's the freedom and the relief and the gratitude that will come with the end result, and just feeling into those feelings now as if it's already happened.
Yeah, love that. Gratitude for sure. Okay, that's perfect. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you for sharing your deeper thoughts about that, Foxy and Nicole. And we're gonna stop here. We're at the top of the hour. Okay, 3 minutes before we go do our intentions in a pop-up think hour. And we've been talking about the, like when you need to move from unhealthy headspace to a healthy headspace. What the heck? Shelly Barnaby's about to pop in here. Yeah, everybody get ready. And it's recording. I was like, what, Shelly? Oh gosh, I love it. Hello. My face is just instantly red. I was in the middle of a sentence and I'm like, what? Shelly Barnaby's here. Zoom her in. Hi.
I just had a cancellation, and so I went, oh, look, there's an hour. I'll pop on.
Now I get to double celebrate the decision to have a pop-up hour, because that wasn't planned. It was totally a pop-up thought. So in that, right, like let's talk about pop-up thoughts, because that's actually something that I've been doing that's been really serving me, is that when inspiration hits, or when a thought like pops up and I'm like, ooh, it's good, that I actually move in the direction of it to keep feeling it out. Like, does it still feel good when the thought happens? Like when the thought comes, and then like taking a step towards it to see, like, does that action still feel good towards the thought that came through? So any ideas or anything you guys want to mastermind about, like when the thoughts come and you take action, like cancellations, things happening, like in those moments, does it serve you to take action, or do you find that you need to think it through, do all the things before you take action?
Ask again.
Oh Lord, I don't know that I can. The
I think-
idea of like when an idea comes through, do you take action or do you need to think it through first? Or are you being ironic right now?
I think it depends. I think there's some things that you can get that sure, yes, this aligns with me, I'm going to do it right now. And then I think there's certain things that take a little bit more preparation, or take a little bit more thought process to be able to do them.
Yeah, there's definitely layers in depending on the thing. I love it. Anyone else?
I have to take an action or it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Because my brain is always like going a million, like, so that action for me would be a confirmation to move toward something.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely okay. That probably explains my jumbled head. You got me all excited. My face is all hot. I'm like, let's talk about what we do with our thought process when we get all excited and we're just like in a swirling whirl, right? But we are at 10 after the hour, so we're gonna pause here and go do our intentions. We have 6 magic minutes, and we were discussing how very OP things are. And we wanted to ask the question about writing curriculum. So anyone that has experience writing curriculum or understanding more about that process, or just some insights, we were talking about writing curriculum. So this is something that if someone wants to share any insights or how to even look at writing your own curriculum, it may be different than, I don't know how to ask it, but
We can just share. So Jennifer, so Jen has purchased a massage school and is needing like to go about writing curriculum or getting a hold of curriculum. So we were just thinking that it's an amazing place right now to be able to bring that topic up. So if there's any advice about that or thoughts about
Since I have a master's degree in curriculum development, that's probably a thing you would want to connect with me about.
yes, that's what we were saying. How OP that you had something cancel and then Jennifer is here today. Like, really?
What I do. Yep,
Yes.
that's what I do. So reach out. I'd love to connect and send you in the right direction and see exactly what you're working on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Okay, so I'll share a little deeper thought in that too. Was the idea of thinking like, well, the state has to approve certain things. That big scary idea about like things need to be approved by other people and going by other guidelines or rules. And we were just challenging the thought of like, well, what if it needs to be rewrote? What if you're the one to rewrite it? What if it needs improvement? And the deeper thought of like, well, why not you? Why not now? And that there is space and there are support opportunities. There are people that need exactly who each of us are. And why not us? Why not think that we could be the answer, or we could be the person to make a change or improvement in a curriculum specifically, because it's about other people's growth. It's about other opportunities for, future of other people too, that we need to challenge those sometimes, or we just need to understand better how we can input who we are into a curriculum to, be who we are. So
An interesting comment around that for me would be this. There are tons of people, and the primary way that a lot of inexperienced people, particularly who've never written any curriculum before, what they'll do is they go look at the requirements and then they reverse engineer their curriculum to meet the requirements. Okay, I get why people do that, right? Because it can be simpler, but then what ends up happening is you have all this like cookie cutter stuff, and I feel like it scrubs off the best of what something could be. In my way of thinking, it is far better to write your heart of what you want to share in your curriculum, and then, and only then, if something doesn't meet the requirements, then you tweak it enough to meet their minimums. Because I've learned over time, they don't look that carefully.
Yeah.
They don't, I mean, like, there just are so, and otherwise you just get like this, think of it this way. Whenever I ask somebody what their favorite book is or how they learned something, nobody ever answers a textbook, right? The reason why is because a committee comes together to write it. They scrub off everything that is good or interesting or really hits you in the guts, and you are left with a textbook. And I think that's one of the reasons we can't engage people in learning, or it's not just like super profound to them. And so my suggestion would be, write from your heart, share the things you want to share, make sure that you're teaching what your passion and your heart is, and then only after that, have somebody with experience or a professional look it over and see if it lines up with the necessary objectives. You'll
Awesome.
just end up with something so much more true to your vision and who you are, in my opinion. What do I know?
Yeah, a lot. You know a
See?
lot.
okay.
Well,
Awesome.
that depends on who you ask, and just know I am all about outside. I am all about doing it your way versus the way.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you shared, the thought process that, we might tend to go to, which is that way, reverse engineer, which ends up taking out the personality, the person that has the dream to do the thing, to teach the thing, then it is all scrubbed away, and that's who you are, and the world needs who you are. So I love that you shared that piece, and then the logical steps to do it. Thank you so much for that, Shelley. We are at the top of the pop-up think hour, so we're going to stop here.